As most of you doubtlessly know, the clone troopers of the Republic were highly skilled, more so than even your average elite soldier. Clone troopers were trained for pretty much everything, and as a result, they were among the most effective rank and file soldiers that the galaxy had ever seen. But this skill came at a cost. Clone trooper training was incredibly brutal, and in this video, we'll be detailing it in full.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
The first part of why clone training was so bad can be explained by who was responsible for much of the training, the Kaminoans. The Kaminoans were ruthlessly perfectionistic, with no qualms about euthanizing clones that didn't meet their high standards, both physically and in training. As they expected the best, they trained clone troopers so that only the best would survive at all, establishing a base level of exceptional difficulty for young clones from an early age. And that's only the start of the absolute suckage of clone training. Clone troopers were trained for combat in all environments, as we all know, but they were trained for these environments by essentially being thrown right into them. Topoka City had several massive training chambers that could completely be remodeled so as to accommodate a perfectly realistic example of pretty much every environment known to the Republic. This meant, for example, training for combat on Blizzard worlds featured actual dangerously low temperatures, and training for combat on worlds like Mustafar featured actual molten rock. Needless to say, anyone who made a mistake here died quite realistically, and the environment training was every bit as harsh as the environments would eventually prove to be. Clone commando training was even worse. Clone trooper training was harsh, with clones often dying as a result of it, but with clone commando training, death was expected for many of those involved. Clone troopers already have been established as facing training worse than even the most elite of real-world soldiers, and clone commandos went far beyond that. For them, the only difference between the war itself and the training on Kamino was the lack of regular breaks during battles. Clone commandos from an early age were put through live fire training. While clone troopers only faced a handful of live fire exercises, with most training scenarios using low power bolts, the training droids involved in commando training shot real full powered blaster bolts, and they shot to kill. Many a potential commando was killed in training, which was actually encouraged by Jango Fett and the Kaminoans, who saw it as a culling of the weak. In several stories, clone commando training occasionally happened in the main complex without the regs being informed beforehand. Commandos would be sent to steal or sabotage something or other within Topoka City, and they would have to evade or sometimes even fight their regular brothers to do it. While as far as we know, no casualties resulted from this, the prospect is still insanely cruel, as with clone training on a whole. So that was some reasons why clone training was nearly as bad as the war itself, if not just as bad. But what do you all think? Do you have any stories from the wider expanded universe that we missed when it comes to clone training? Feel free to tell us in the comments section below. And just before you go guys, make sure you check out all the links in the description below, because I'm sure there's something for everybody. We have a second history channel, a Patreon if you want to support the channel more, and our wider Geetsly's community on our Geetsly's gaming network and on our Discords. So make sure you check them all out if you want to join our community at large. Anyways guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.